Hello everyone, welcome back to the class today. So for today's class I pre-recorded the drawing. You can we will pause the video just to give you some time. I will go ahead and start the drawing and also try not to stop too much so the video is shorter. You can just pause to the video just to get caught up. So this is our drawing today, a nice little horse. You can pause now to take the picture. And we will grab our supplies, so your paper, pencil and eraser. If you're doing charcoal, you can start with charcoal as well. I like starting, even if it's a charcoal drawing, I like starting with pencil so I can erase easily. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna put a few marks on my drawing. So I imagine where the middle is, or the center, right? The center would be right here. So what's at the top? The right ear, and at the bottom, kind of the middle of the neck. So I kind of imagine where those things would be in the center of my page. And I see that the big shapes are kind of a circle, a square, and a big circle over here. So I will start doing that. You can measure with your pencil and just transfer it exactly if you have a big enough screen. I'll just draw it a little bit bigger than my actual size. So let's start with just a line straight down, and then a line right through the middle. So from where this center is, I am going to draw a big circle. Notice that I go over my upper line here. And remember, this is just a very rough guideline. We will erase this later. And it's more like an egg shape. Remember to start the movement from your shoulder, not just the wrist, but the entire arm is moving. And I'm gonna measure from the bottom of my circle over here up to kind of where, if I draw a straight line, where does this end here, right at the center? I'm gonna take that distance here. So from the bottom of my egg to where my first line was, and I'm just gonna take this distance and double it. So I'm just gonna draw a little mark right here. So again, from the bottom to where this middle line would cross this first line, that roughly gives me this section right here. And now I'm going to draw kind of a cylinder or a rectangle over here. Don't worry too much about the detail. And I think the center of my drawing is right here in this little bone. So that will be right here. And then it starts going down from here. And this is not so, this is more like a straight line, so I'm gonna fix that. So I take my pencil, I see how straight or what's the angle. So like this, and I just transfer it to my drawing. So it's more like quite a bit more straight. I'm gonna finish these big shapes and then you can pause the video so you can get all caught up. So now, this is just like a very rough estimate, but I think from the center to my right edge is the same or almost the same as from the center to the neck. So from the center to where my drawing ends, I take this distance and bring it over here to the left. So just make an indication. And then I just draw a nice curved line. If you're having trouble with your curved lines, I think it would be because you're drawing just with your, from your wrist. My wrist is very still and I draw from my entire shoulder. And sorry, I want to position or draw the neck here. So I think the neck is right in the middle from, let's see here. So if you take this point right here where the jaw is, and again the edge would be right in the center. So from this point to where my drawing ends, I'm just gonna draw a dot where the middle is. Where? So I think it's right here. I think this is too curved. I think it needs to be straighter here, and then it comes in. And I said before that the ears are roughly in the middle of my drawing, and my middle is right here, so I'm just gonna draw. And the other ear, we'll fix the details and the shapes a little bit. And I'm also drawing the big shadow over here just to remind me later. It gives it a 3D look. And I'm gonna draw a line, this line right here. I think this line I want to make it a bit narrow. Okay, so you can pause the video right here just to kind of draw the big shapes and the outline. Now that we have our big shapes, I'm gonna start drawing a little bit more detail, or the lines with just a little bit more detail. If you have too many lines, you can go over with the eraser and remove the lines that you don't really need, like the big circle. Just leave the left part. I think that's it. Very gently, you don't want to erase all of it. So first step, big shapes. Second step, we're gonna fix our shapes and do a little bit more detail. So I'm gonna start with the neck, and remember to spend more time looking at the reference picture than at your drawing, because when we look at our drawing for too long or more than our reference photo, we start to imagine things and it doesn't look very realistic. So for where this little eye is, I'm just gonna divide my, like, the head into thirds. So 1, 2, 3. So the first one, that's where my left eye is. One, 2, 3. So you don't really need to draw a line exactly where your first line was. Just if you need to fix something, fix it as soon as you see the mistake. I'm not drawing the eye yet, it's just a little indication so it makes more sense. I think the neck needs to go lower right here. So always measure the new thing that you're drawing to, and compare it to the rest of the face. So how big is the ear compared to the rest? So now that you've done a little bit more detail, or that I've done it, you can pause the video so you can get caught up. And next we're gonna add the detail that we haven't done yet. So let's start with these things right here. So they start from the back of the ear and they kind of cover this line a little bit. You can start with the, I don't know what these are called, but with the entire belt or just the entire rectangle, and then later you can add the detail. This one goes all the way over here. There's one right here, and this goes back. I think it's too low. I think it's actually farther up because you see that mine is not touching the neck. Here it's actually going into the neck, so let's fix that. Maybe just a little bit lower, I think. This I think goes under the face, under the jaw. And there's another connection thing right here. These are tricky because they're like I'm not used to these, so I don't know what they're supposed to look like. So you just have to copy what you see. You can zoom in to see a little bit more detail, although if you don't get it exactly like it is, it doesn't really matter. If you're having trouble placing the eye, if you look at it horizontally, the eye is at 1/3 from the entire length from here to here. So at this distance fits 3 times on the entire length. So 1, 2, 3. And for the face, it's about in the middle. I think it's in the middle from this bottom part and the top. So yeah, I think that's roughly the middle. We can fix it later if we put it on the wrong place. So the eye is like an almond shape, especially at the bottom. And then at the top, it's a triangle. And then down. And there is a line at the top. And at the bottom. And we're gonna make a dot here to indicate the little sparkle there. And the line over here, that's gonna be light or lighter. We're not gonna color that in. Once we start doing all the shades and highlights, it's gonna make a lot more sense. So For these lines right here, it will look better once we start shading the area, but for now we're just gonna draw the outline of the shape of the shadow. So what I mean is, so you see a line here, don't just draw a line, but draw more like a rectangle, a very long one. I think this line is too high up, so I'm gonna fix that, because you can only see this little bit of space for the jaw. I'm gonna draw the shape of the shadow here, and we're not shading yet. I'm just gonna create the outline. So you see that I drew the outline. It looks, it feels strange when you start doing it, but as you continue to do the drawing, it will make more sense later on. For today's class, we're just gonna do the outline because there is a lot of detail. And the next class, we're gonna finish with the shading. So for the nostrils right here, try to really see the lines and the shape that you're creating. So that's a circle right here, or like a C. And then inside the C, there's a kind of curved triangle pointing down. So again, a C, a very wide C, and a triangle pointing down. And then after this C, there's also another C right behind it. And I think they connect at the bottom right here. And for the nose, there is a little Y over here that connects to this line. I think what I will start, actually no, once we're pretty happy with the drawing, we're gonna start with the eye. I like to start with the eye because it doesn't matter if the rest of the paint or the drawing or your painting looks perfect. If the eyes are not correct, like the correct shape or placement, the entire drawing will look very strange. So make sure you do the eyes first and that you're happy. And we're gonna start drawing a few hairs here and there. Just a little indication for now. And a line right here. There's lots of detail on the face, so make sure you add the detail. And when you're adding the detail, you're mostly looking at the picture on the screen, not so much your painting, because you don't want to draw things where they don't belong. I think I'm happy with the eye. So I'm just gonna grab another pencil, maybe a 3B, and I'm gonna go over the things that are a little bit darker, but they just need a little bit more detail. So right here, this is supposed to be covered, and then here we see a little bit of detail. So I'm just redrawing the lines that I think are quite dark, and that gives me a little bit more detail. I'm gonna add a few more lines here for the dark areas, and then you can catch up in just 1 sec. So I'm redrawing this shape right here. So there is a big one, but there's a smaller one that is very dark, darker than this top bottom. So I'm just placing a line so I indicate that is darker later on. I think I want to make this area a bit bigger, the jaw, so I'm just gonna redo this line right here. There is a lot of detail on this section. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. Most of us are not too familiar how these things should look like, and we won't notice. Right. I think what we will do for our last step today. So first, just you can pause the video now and catch up on these darker details, and make sure you take a second to step back from your drawing, look at the entire thing, see what needs to be added, maybe changed. And then we'll do one last step. So you can pause now. And our last step is, I think I'm gonna do a little bit more of the shadows. So if you're happy with the entire painting, great, or drawing, sorry. Let's start with a few shadows here and there, just so it makes more sense. Or at least just the eye, because I think that's an important one. So it's very, I'm just gonna zoom in. It's very dark on the inner corner right here. That's the darkest. There's a white dot right here. This is dark, but not as dark as the inner corner, and there is a highlight here. So try to do that as well. So inner corner very dark. Then the middle section is dark, but not completely dark. And there's the white little dot. And there's a lighter space at the top. And you can do this at the end. You don't have to do it now, but so just so you don't forget, I'm just gonna put the white little dot right here. So you leave that. And I'm just doing a little bit of hatching and cross hatching just to indicate where my shadows will be. You don't need to do this, but it's just helpful to know, or to make it look like a 3D shape already. And I think we'll leave it at that right now. So this is our class for today. We will finish next class. We will do the shading, highlights, and detail. Okay, so thank you for joining this week again. See you next Monday. Bye.